Well, the problem of 2024 for the global steel industry has been that Chinese steel demand has been weak, which has resulted in higher Chinese steel exports. Well, let's explain this to you in further detail. India's steel demand has been rising at 10% over the last 4 years. But in the same period, Chinese steel demand is down by 13%. Now, India is the second largest steel producer and will remain an important growth driver in the world. The issue is China has slowed down, which has resulted in Chinese prices slipping to COVID lows, which in turn has pressurized global steel prices. The Chinese housing market has remained weak, with prices of newly built commercial and residential buildings slipping all the way since mid-2023. This has impacted steel demand, thereby leading to rising iron ore inventory at Chinese ports, which is currently way higher than the average inventory levels. The pain point is that Chinese monthly exports have been rising because domestic demand out there has faltered. And for the first time since 2016, Chinese steel exports will clock more than 100 million tons. It's also on course to challenge the previous all-time highs. Well, the Indian steel industry, they are up in arms. Mr. Sajjan Jindal has made a solid pitch. He wants some protection for the domestic ferrous industry because Chinese steelmakers, they have an unfair advantage and part of their exports are trickling into India. Well, the Steel Ministry has recently proposed to the Finance Ministry to impose 25% safeguard duty on steel imports, as India has now turned a net importer from being a net exporter in the previous year. Well, Nuvama has said the imposition of some safeguard duty along with the onset of a seasonally good quarter could give the steel producers some elbow room to go ahead and increase prices by around 2,000 rupees per ton, as domestic prices are at a bit of a discount in comparison to the landed cost of imports. But they also highlight that factors like anti-dumping investigation in Europe and aggressive exports by China is eating into India's exports, which is more concerning than the elevated imports that we're seeing. We'll have to stay tuned to see the government's action with regard to these rising imports, but things could get better for the domestic steel industry from here on, because Chinese steel prices could have bottomed out. Their exports as well could slow down. Additionally, domestic steel makers, well, they've chalked out their capacity addition plans with focus on value addition and cost efficiencies, which could support volume growth and probable expansion of unit profitability. Well, the steel industry hopes to get its sheen back in 2025.
Thanks for tuning in to CNBC TV 18, and for more news and updates, follow us on all the social media platforms.